All right, let's do it. I'm putting it up right now.
Okay.
Every
3
dream.
a.m. by the way. Really late here.
I know,
Oh,
I know.
jeez.
Yeah,
I,
I know.
I thought I was bad at 9 p.m. here, but never
I'm
mind.
tired,
I'll
but
shut up.
I'm here, bro.
Well,
Jeez.
I'll try to inject some energy in you, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
All right, boom, tweets gone, vamos. All right, so let's give it another 2 minutes here.
I see Moon Man already has his hand raised.
I know, Moonman's like,
Hey,
I don't
man,
even want to wait for the
he's
AMA.
ready to fire off for the questions.
Oh man, this is gonna be fun. All right. Yeah, we'll give another minute or two. I know people are piling. It's a Friday night too, so maybe people are out partying or something. It's the holidays.
Party. It's power
Yeah.
hour here.
What is that? What is partying? I don't even know what that is.
Hey, man, what's a social life? I've never heard of that.
Oh God, I don't even have one of those.
Hey, man, I'm a Discord moderator. What can I do?
This is my life.
Yeah, that's right. My life is on Discord.
I wouldn't be surprised if we are sponsored by Discord soon. We're on this shit so much.
I mean, Jesus Christ, we should be reaching out to their PR team.
Yeah, I know. Facts. All right. Well, hey, let's get this thing kicked off. All right. Thank you all for coming on this Friday night. We have the Power team here, another Kryptonaires AMA. We are very excited to have the one of the lead devs, Coot Power here. I hope I said that right. And then we have Nylock, which is Nylock. You're an admin for Power. Or what's your role, real quickly?
I mean, my role is a little bit more of a floater role. So
Okay.
essentially, what I am is I'm a liaison between Power and Thor. I'm filling in the role as a community manager, but of course, as we're continuing to grow, I'm obviously relying significantly on our mod team. Luckily, I got a couple great mods there that are doing a majority of the work. But I'm just essentially helping to bridge the union that I've been talking about nonstop for the last week or so.
All right, man. Well, we are happy to have you here. You are good energy, my friend, and we are excited to get started. So let's. I do have Garuk here, which is Will. He's our Discord manager for Node projects, and we have Cass DG, who is our social media and marketing manager for the Kryptonaires Discord and Kryptonaires business. So I'm thankful to have my team here with me. And let's get this thing started. So why don't you drop it on us? What is power, and why should we be paying attention to power right now?
Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the people here are familiar with Thor and exactly with what we've started on with Thor. For us, it's really important to be able to introduce a little bit more transparency into the DeFi space. We're a big believer of doing the DeFi as a service model and doing it correctly and transparently. I'm very excited to show that we're branching off in our union. It's no longer Thor pioneering the way here. Power has come in and they've done some truly incredible things to really pioneer out this new vision of transparency in DeFi. We are a DeFi as a service model, node producer like a lot of other ones that have been popping up. However, we've been doing things just a little bit differently by making our treasury public and already making our first investment. Power itself is just a couple days old, so they're very much following in the same footsteps that Thor brought out for us.
Beautiful. And I just want to add that we, in fact, at Kryptonaires here, we did find power the first day it dropped. And I did FOMO in hard. I spent about 10 grand getting about 50, 55 nodes set up the first day for power. And I did share it with the Discord and Super Bowl chat. So I know a lot of us got in early and we are very excited about it. You guys are a fork of Thor version 2 contract, correct?
Exactly. So, the beautiful thing about Power and the way that it works so synergistically with Thor is that, Power started as a fork of Thor version 2. So the exploits that were found in other protocols weren't present in Power from day one, allowing them to, scale out as well as offer instantaneous rewards, just like how Thor has introduced that.
Fantastic. So, am I correct to say that since you guys have launched, you have not run into the same troubles that a lot of these other projects have ran into with the hacking and migrating issues? Have you guys had any issues yourselves, or has it been smooth sailing?
I mean, look, whenever you're starting a brand new protocol, there is no such thing as a perfect smooth sailing. There has been a couple bugs here and there, and we've been dealing with people who have experienced, a delay in rewards for whatever reason, whether that's due to, a simple bug on our end or it's human error on their end. But we've been very quick to resolve any of these issues that arise. Luckily, we are absolutely immune over here at both Power and Thor from any of the exploits or any of the bad actors. So we're not seeing any kind of migrational issues. We don't need to migrate nodes over to a new contract. Our contract is safe and secure.
That's music to my ears because I know a lot of us, have been through the ring issues. I know a lot of us have been through the Katana issues, which are
yes,
which are like deadly viruses for that project. But it's good to know that you guys, have been able to have, just a couple little bugs here and there, and you guys have been able to handle them smoothly, and it doesn't seem like there's anything kind of crazy going on behind the scenes. You guys have already made your first investment. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we wanted to save this announcement for the AMA here today. But it came out a little bit early, which is fine. But yeah, we over at Power had a vote to use to have the first treasury usage go out. And the community voted about $100,000 into Thor. Into Strong.
You just love the Thor name, don't you?
I love the Thor name. I
can't think of anything but Thor.
I have so many names on my mind right now. But yeah, no. So we just completed the $100,000 investment into Strong. We picked up significant amount of nodes, and just like Thor, we publicly made that TX available in our announcement channel. It's beautiful. We completed our first vote, and we're looking to have our second vote done relatively soon here.
Congratulations on your first investment. That is what we want to see from DeFi as a service projects. What is there another investment that you guys are eyeing, or anything that maybe we should be aware of, or when do you think the next vote is going to be for our next investment that Power is going to make?
Well, the next investment that Power is going to make is obviously we're trying to, as our treasury is growing here, we're trying to speed up the amount of votes that we're having, so we're not dealing with a lot of idle money just sitting in the treasury doing nothing for us. So, relatively in the next day or two, we'll be looking at our second community vote. That community vote will be for a little bit more than the original $100,000, and that will obviously be put to the community with another 4 options as voted by our blockchain experts and our project manager.
And that's great. And the only thing that I worry about, Thor being successful, Power being successful. You guys are the same contract on different blockchains. I worry that you guys end up investing in the same projects, and you guys are kind of doing the same thing. So I hope you guys can kind of mix it up with what you guys are putting your money into. That way, if one particular project kind of does start to drop, that you guys both don't take the blunt of that. So I do hope you guys are going to mix it up as far as being a little bit different, right? Doing the whole Power thing, right? Your own thing.
Without a question. So that's a large priority of us, and that's the beautiful thing about being in a union, is that there's a consistent line of communication between both the Thor and the Power teams, allowing both of our individual protocols to have a much more diverse pool of investments and being able to focus in different genres and different areas to hedge against potential downfalls on whatever niche each protocol is invested into.
I absolutely love that, man. That is great to hear. I love when the not to bring up Thor again, but the Thor developers and the Power developers can actually kind of work together to make sure that everything is right as rain with code. And then as you guys kind of move and develop into something bigger, you guys can kind of help each other with ideas and different ways you guys can branch out and do something different. I absolutely love that.
Well, that's the whole function of a union. The whole function of, It's a two-pronged approach from our perspective. We really want to make the push towards changing the culture of DeFi into a much more transparent space. We've had an opportunity to see a lot of bad actors come by and do some unscrupulous things. That's something that we're trying to change, and we're trying to change the trust value in our investor base, and that's done really through both transparency as well as diversification with our portfolios. That's the great thing about having a union of multiple protocols all on different chains. We're not in direct competition with each other, and we're absolutely of the firm belief that that there's more than enough room for all of us to thrive, and especially as long as we all share that initial vision of full and utter transparency.
Love it, man. Love it. And just so we clear, audience, you guys will have a time at the end of the little chat here to come up, ask your questions. We value those questions. Those questions usually drum up some really good conversations. So let's save our hands until we kind of get through this, and then you guys can come up and blast power with some hard questions. So, Will, did you have anything that you would like to ask Power and Nylock, the team right now?
Yeah. So I just want to backpedal a few questions below. So you said Node. Does the Power team ever plan to
change the name?
alter the name of the node? Yes.
Absolutely. So if you actually look over at our Twitter account, we've been hinting out where the course of the definitions of the terms that we're using. So we're looking to turn our nodes into what we call generators, a power generator. And that's really important to us, and it's been instrumentally important to myself personally, because in order for us to really live up to our transparent goals, I think we have to be much more honest about the definition of what our product is. There's too many people that compare the nodes in a DeFi as a service model to something like Strongblock, which is an actual RPC endpoint that actually serves a function on the blockchain. When in reality, what we are is we're essentially a treasury investment fund that allows investors to purchase positions within that investment fund and net the returns based off the revenues generated from the treasury.
Great question, and I'm happy that you guys are doing that, because a node is a computer system that is keeping a record of the blockchain, helping the blockchain be more decentralized, and we know that these aren't quite what that is. So I'm glad that you guys are going to be going ahead and changing to generators. I love the power play there with the generator play. That's fantastic. Will, you got any other fire questions, my friend?
Yeah, so on your Treasury website, I did see that you had the buyback and the vote listing there. I don't see the buyback being anywhere on your roadmap all the way to Q3 2022. So at what particular point do you guys believe you guys will have that as an option for the investors to choose?
So that's going to happen sooner rather than later. We wanted to hedge ourselves in our white paper and not necessarily promise the world in such a short period of such a short time frame. So for us, we'd much rather under promise, over deliver. So for us, it's a big priority to get the transparency on the Treasury website out there in the public, and that's including buybacks as well as having the community vote on timing of buybacks and when the protocol is going to withdraw the revenue and take the profits to buy back tokens and to help out the price point and refill the reward pools.
I love that. Talk to us about tokenomics, right? You just talked about it. So we're investing 10 power tokens to create a power generator. Where do those tokens go, and what happens?
Well, when you invest 10 power tokens, it's just basically the exact same breakdown as Thor. So when 7 of those tokens go directly into the reward pools that pays out rewards to our investors, one of those tokens goes out to the liquidity pairing. So that's a 50% phantom and a 50% power. And then the other 20% goes to the actual business development side of things. So that's marketing, that's hiring on new developers, that's allowing us to continuously expand and improve on our protocol without drawing anything additional from our investors. We wanted to make sure that was all baked into the tokenomics itself.
No, that's beautiful. Walk us through. I know Cut Power's here. He's one of the head developers of Power. What else is the makeup of the team? Like how many people are behind the scenes working to make this project the best project on Phantom Chain right now for what you guys are doing, DeFi as a service. What does the team makeup look like, and what can we expect going forward?
Well, I mean, obviously the team is going to expand as the protocol continues to expand. We're not necessarily looking to, add too many cooks into the kitchen here. We have a really good team of 8 people right now. That consists of 2 core blockchain developers, a security analyst, a community manager, which is effectively the role that I'm filling here, a project manager. We have a front end developer, a financial advisor, and a budget manager. So it's really allowing us to, have a full scale solution, to give the investors trust and, make sure that we have an understanding and basis to make good investments on the behalf of our investors.
I do have a quick
Beautiful.
question, Narlock. So these 8 core team members that you just listed,
Mhm.
were these? Did you have 8 core team members at the initial launch of this project?
Well, we had everyone at the initial launch of the project, excluding the project manager and the community manager. Those were 2 roles that had to be filled in post-launch. So, we have a fantastic project manager, especially on the social media side of things. If you look down at the Twitter account, he's been doing a phenomenal job running that. And, the natural role of me in a lot of these projects here and exactly what I'm trying to build with this union, I'm filling the role of a community manager quite well. Obviously, I'm relying significantly on my mod team on the Power server in order to make sure things are run well, and we have a really positive, active community with no toxic or no FUD or none of that kind of crap happening.
Beautiful, beautiful, and also big shout out to the mods in the Power chat. I know those people work very hard to provide quality, answers when people have questions, and just kind of help, uplift people and kind of educate them as they come into the Discord. So big shout out to the team there.
Thank you. They certainly work hard. They are the unsung heroes in all of this.
Beautiful, beautiful. Will, what else you got, my friend?
Yeah, so I kind of want to touch on this node transparency union.
Mhm.
And I apologize because I used the node term there.
Look,
Generator
it's gonna take a little bit for that word to leave the vernacular. So
Yeah.
so don't worry. I might slip up and still call them nodes as well.
Good. So I wanted to ask, are there any projects currently that you feel that you have your eye on to bring them into this union?
Yes. So, this is obviously off the topic of Power. Power is the first protocol that we are officially adding into this union. Simply because I've had a very good relationship with Cut the entire time. I really understand where their priorities are, where the future for them lies, and they very much share the same vision that we have at Thor. I'm currently in talks with several other protocol development teams, gauging them out. For me, it's very important because I have a reputation of transparency and honesty, of building really good communities, and I'm only willing to lend that credibility and my name and my reputation out to projects that I have a lot of confidence are doing the right things. So there is a couple projects that I'm looking at right now. I'm in talks with the developers. I have some calls over the weekend. There's also another project on BSC that is, still yet to come out. It's currently being worked on, which is probably another 4 to 6 weeks away from being released. So we're really starting to flush out this union. But obviously today, this is about Power, and this is about Power officially joining the union as the first protocol to join in the union of transparency, as that's what we're calling it.
Woo. I love that. I love that, man. That's just music to my ears. No, that's sounding good. And be sure that I will be sending you a DM later to find out what that project is. So just look out for that.
Sensei, you always get the information from me first.
Oh man, no, I love it, man, and we'll bring it to you guys here at Kryptonaires 2 first. Once I put him on the torture chair and get the name out of him, so we'll get it to you. But Will, what's up, man? What else you got, my friend?
Yeah, so I did see in the roadmap you guys had NFT collection listed. Can you speak a little bit more about that? What that looks like?
Yeah. So we're a big fan of Strong's model with NFTs. We think having a secondary function towards our protocol to add additional value to the generators. I almost said node myself, but to offer additional value to the generators is really important and is going to help us out in the long term. Generating more revenue into the treasury. So we're looking to introduce a NFT system very similar to what we're doing at Thor, as well as in Power. So these would be NFTs that would be community designed, and the NFTs would be available with a small sales tax. That sales tax would immediately go to protect the treasury from investments, from the cost that it would incur going in and outside of new investments. And then those NFTs would also generate additional rewards per the nodes. We don't have the specific numbers figured out. We have our tokenomics experts working on that right now to figure out exactly what kind of benefits we'd be looking at for the nodes. I can assure you, though, it would be certainly worth it to own an NFT in the future.
Do you guys plan to do that as like an auction, as like a project that is, I won't mention the project name, but they kind of decided to do an auction, then they decided to not do an auction and sell them straight up, and then they went back to the auction. And that just gave me a headache today. So how are you guys going to roll that out?
Well, honestly, for the same reason why it just gave you a headache, I don't want to give you the exact methodology in which we're going to roll it out, because obviously that's subject to change, and we don't want to tell investors one thing and then have that change when new information hits, right? But what we are looking to do is we're looking to offer them to the most fair way possible. So that's going to be more than likely a public fair launch. An auction is something that we're certainly contemplating, but we want it to be as accessible and available for every single power user out there.
Do we know how many NFTs are going to be? I mean, is it going to turn into some type of lottery system, or I mean, I guess you can't comment on that, but do we know how many NFTs at least they're going to be, so people know that, hey, there's not going to be like 15, there's going to be maybe like a couple hundred, so people can deal with that. And then also, sorry, second question, is there going to be an NFT marketplace that Power is going to roll out to host the resale of NFTs if we wanted to do that?
Now, that is certainly what we're looking in. Look, right now our stage is not only to build out our credibility and transparency with our investors, but it's also to build out additional values that the protocol can offer. So a secondary NFT marketplace is very much in the picture. It's something that we're very interested in producing. We still don't know exactly how that would look logistically and how it would connect in with the Power protocol. But that's something that we are very interested. As for the numbers of NFTs in the future, we're looking at a few different models. We're not necessarily looking to go down the complete and utter scarcity route. I understand the appeal of that, but we want the NFTs to be much more accessible to our investor base. And, if we went down the scarcity route, most people would be priced out. And that's something that we're not looking to necessarily do. I can't go into specific numbers, obviously. That's still being worked on by our tokenomics experts. I'm certainly no expert at tokenomics, so I wouldn't want to, put anyone into a corner here. But it's something that we are planning on having a significant number, especially because we're projecting a significant uptick in the amount of nodes being produced for the protocol. The number of NFTs has to match and keep within a specific level that we have, in the back end that our tokenomics experts have figured out already.
And what is the total tokens for the project? Is it 1 million like Thor is, or is it a different number?
So the token supply here is 20 million. So it's 20,456,000. That was the initial supply, and then of course with another 95.11% burn. So we're looking essentially at about 1 million or so.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right, I'll give it back to Will. Sorry, I keep interrupting my friend. He's asking great questions, but I'm so excited back here. Here, I'll just I'll put myself on mute and sit on my hands.
You're solid. Yeah, thank you, Nylock. One thing I did want to ask, I mean, you keep sharing this transparency with the project, and you guys kind of rolled out this roadmap. Is there any way you guys would reprioritize some of those things if the community felt that they wanted these things pushed up sooner?
Without a question. So, for the roadmap, we specifically put things on a longer timeline because that's we don't want to be in the situation where we're promising a shorter timeline and potentially missing those goals. I think that would be a larger hit to investor trust than promising a longer timeline and then surprising everyone with having it done a lot quicker. So that's something that we're definitely looking at. We're looking to essentially be a DAO. We want our investors to have almost full control over the protocol and the protocol outcomes. So it's a fantastic idea to have the community vote on roadmap items and potentially look at moving items up and down the roadmap depending on what the community will is. That's something that we're totally open for, and I think that's something that I'll have a conversation with Cut after this AMA about.
Thank you. So one thing I did see is the liquidity lock that you guys have, right? But that ends on June 2022. So what occurs when that becomes unlocked? What does the team do?
Well, I mean, the team plans, by that stage, we're looking to really have built up our name and our credibility. And so that at that point, that liquidity can then either be added to both the liquidity pools, can be used to buy back tokens to replenish the reward pools, or it can be directly added to the treasury for treasury investments. We're going to be looking closer to that time on what the best use of that initial locked up liquidity.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You got any more questions, my friend?
A few more.
Yeah, keep going, man.
Fire 'em out. Fire 'em out. That's
How much time do we have?
do.
I want to ensure the community that they have a chance to answer a question.
Absolutely, Will. Why don't you do another 6 minutes of questions? Then we'll open it up to the audience. I see my sugar in the audience. I know he's got a couple spicy questions. So go a couple more, my friend.
The sustainability model, how's that going? Is there a chance in the future that you guys reduce the cost to make a node?
Yeah, I mean, the sustainability and having an ability for everyone to have access to the protocol is really important to us. So obviously, as the price action on the token, really starts to hit long term, and we have an idea on where the token direction is going to go price wise, we will be reflecting the cost of node creation in that price action. So whether that goes up or down, we're ready to adjust the price for the nodes, to whatever that price action has.
Thank you. And then in terms of marketing, what's the difference between the marketing that's going on right now versus the marketing that you guys have planned for Q3 2022? It says intense marketing.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now we're still in the, building out stages of the protocol and building out stages of our community. We want to have a really robust protocol and a really robust community before we make major marketing pushes. So, the marketing pushes that we have on the horizon, now we have several ideas. Nothing has been firmed up, but that's everything from, mainstream advertisements, you're talking billboards, you're talking proper advertisements that you'd see in the real world, as well as, very labor-intensive digital campaigns, as well as partnering up with specific influencers that align with our vision of transparency.
How soon do you guys plan to potentially be on a top 10 exchange?
Well, that's something that we're looking to do as soon as possible. So as you can notice that it's the next point in our roadmap here, is to get listed onto a centralized exchange. So right now the talks are in place with exchanges. Applications are being written. They'll be submitted very soon, and we're ideally hoping, relatively soon, quote unquote soon, for that to be done. It's going to be mostly up to the centralized exchanges on who is going to list us. We do have a pool of centralized listings that we are looking at, though.
And lastly here, and thank you, Nylock, for going through all these.
Of course.
Lastly, in terms of reassurance for the investors, token holders, what additional things is the project doing? Audits, multi-sigs?
So all of that, I find it a little hard to believe a protocol claiming to be transparent that does not have audits in place, that does not have RugDoc KYC in place for the developers, for the entire team, not just the core developers. And I also think it's a little ironic that a protocol can call itself trustworthy and transparent without a multi-sig in place. So all of those are, from our perspective, the next stages to continue to build our investor trust and to live out to our guarantees of transparency.
Can you give me a prioritization for these and a timeline?
Well, the prioritization is that's number one. So all of so the multi-sig, the multi-sig, the KYC, as well as everything else that we can do to promote transparency and trust are the next stages. So we're making actions in the next coming days to submit our contracts for audit, to submit ourselves to RugDoc for a KYC verification, and to set up the multi-sig. That's we'd be talking days, if not week away.
Okay. Thank you. And before I open it to the audience, I just want to ask, this template that you have for Power, Power Project, are you going to also have this request from anyone that will be joining this union?
Yes. So that's a firm yes, on no conditional yes to that at all. Any project or any protocol that wants to join the Union of Transparency is obligated to go through the exact same steps that both the Thor team and the Power team are going through. This is how we build and this is how we change the culture of DeFi by every protocol within the union all presenting the exact same level of investor security.
Thank you, Narlock.
You're very welcome.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I have to say, before we bring the audience up, we have several questions already lined up here. I just want to say, if there's any projects out there watching this, this is the roadmap for success. You need to follow what these guys are doing if you want to be successful in this space. They're not even a week old, and you have all of this information coming out, and the transparency is key, especially in this space where one bad thing or two bad things can really sink a project. So congratulations on that. Let's bring up some people. We have a ton of people here. F1 was first. You're coming up. Oh, my sugar's on the list too. Let's get the question from F1.
Hi, guys.
F1, hey, F1, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you. And you answered those questions very well. I just wanted to ask, why is it that when you claim your rewards on the power nodes, when they turn up on your spooky swap, they are less?
So I think you're referring out to the 10% claim tax. And that claim tax is there. Yeah, that tax is. I mean, it's. every DeFi as a service protocol has that tax. Unlike other protocols, we have that tax there for a very specific reason, and it's used for a very specific reason. And that is simply as the Treasury continues to invest in DeFi protocols, no matter what the chain is, we incur costs. So that's everything from gas costs to fees to enter and exit the protocol, to other protocols, DeFi protocols, let's say a DAO, for example, that would have a 10% tax going in and out. We don't want to bleed our treasury dry just to cover these fees. So, for example, the strong investment that we just made, Ethereum is a very expensive chain in order to do any investments on. That 10% claim tax directly goes to cover out those costs without hurting the treasury's bottom line.
Got you. Thank you. Just one more question. Do you feel like the rewards will have to decrease in order for the project to be sustainable, or do you think they're okay where they're at now?
Well, look, I wish I had a perfect answer for you. I think obviously the rewards will decrease over time. There's no question about that. We're not trying to build a protocol here to last a couple months and then, fail. We're looking out, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 5 years down the line. We want this to be long-term successful. And the way that it's going to be long-term successful is, having a reward rate that is viable in the long term. We will have a much better idea on what the exact runway that we'd be looking at, as well as how long the current reward rates would be lasting for once we've made a few more treasury investments and we're seeing the actual revenue generate from the treasury. Right now, what we're doing is very, very new. It's something that other, DeFi as a service protocols have promised in the past, but we're actually doing it, and we're doing it right away. So we're kind of forging new ground here. Until we really have an idea on what the expected returns are for our investments, we're kind of we're kind of still figuring out exactly where the reward weights are. What I can tell you is, for the foreseeable future, we have more than enough runway for at least the next couple weeks to a month to sustain the current reward rates, and I don't project the reward rates to drop significantly anytime soon.
Got you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, F1. Brother Showtime, what you got?
Hey guys, how you doing tonight? I got a few questions, so hopefully
Yes,
you're
sir.
willing to keep me up here for a little bit. So I'll bring up a question that's FUD from the community. It's not a issue that I have, but it's a question, not even a question, more of just stupidity, I would say, that the community keeps bringing up, but I won't give you a moment to address it. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is a highly organized rug where they're going to essentially have all these DeFi projects like Strongblock in their treasury. They're going to run away with the project, and they're going to have all this income for themselves. I've been arguing with people, theoretically that's the case with any treasury, right? Like, that's not unique to Power, but I want to just give you a chance to kind of address that, because I'm sure people are going to keep bringing it up.
Well, look, I mean, I would like just to call it FUD and to write them off as, people who don't understand what we're trying to do here. But with the recent events that we've seen from other DeFi as a service protocols, I can understand the concern. That's the reason to us, transparency and trust with our community has been the number one priority from day one. That's the reason we made our treasury public before everyone else. That's the reason we've already made our first investment. That's the reason we have the liquidity lock. And that's also why we're going through these additional steps for verification for our investor trust, such as RugDoc KYCs, multi-sigs, and ensuring and submitting our contracts for audit. Obviously, people could talk a good game. We're a much bigger believer of actions. So I would ask any of those people who are, thinking about that FUD, to look at our actions and look at exactly the way that we've operated ourselves since launch. That's not going to be changing. We're not going to be changing the way that we are. We're not going to be changing our actions in the future. And I think over time, that FUD will become more and more irrelevant.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, because apparently you guys are the only project that has a treasury with assets in it that you can run away with. But
I mean, like,
right?
Look at any investment firm. Right?
100%.
Yeah.
So here's another question. So, obviously kind of the idea behind DeFi as a service is that you guys are investing in a lot of projects that are also in a lot of people's portfolios, a lot of other projects that are favorites of people like Strongblock, hence the reason people are voting on this stuff. So a good question did come up. Are you guys, when you get these projects, like, we'll just use Strongblock for an example, are you going to just continue to dump Strongblock? Are you going to compound any of it, or how are you going to kind of work that out?
Well, Strongblock is a unique investment, right? Because a lot of other investments don't necessarily have the same gamification that Strongblock has. Versus selling the rewards for ETH and using that to pay back the treasury, or compounding into additional nodes. From our perspective, we're still figuring out exactly what the right solution is and exactly what the right balance is. We do rely on our experts on our team for that, but that's also something that we want to put to a community vote in the long term as well. Again, almost every financial decision is built out of the a team of experts that we have, but is voted for and executed by the community.
Gotcha. So really, there's no firm, concrete decision yet on that. Is kind of what I'm hearing.
I mean, look, we just made this the investment into Strong today. It's the first day of us into it. Certainly expect the community can expect a vote on exactly what we'll be doing with that Strong investment long term. That will be happening sooner rather than later.
I've been a pain in your butt, I'm sure, about this. So I'll ask. I see that there is going to be some on-chain governance launching. I can kind of see that's in the dashboard here. Any idea when that's going to launch, and we'll actually have proposals to vote on?
So again, I wish I had a specific date. I don't want to throw out dates here and then potentially miss them. What I can tell you is that our developers are currently working on that as we speak. Right now the Discord votes is a means to an end. It's a temporary short term solution because for us a priority was to allow our investors to have a decision making power over the use of the treasury, and so this was the shortest term and easiest solution to implement quickly.
Right.
Over time, we're looking at weighted voting, and we're looking at having all of the voting done through the actual Treasury app. With people's wallets connected, as well as a breakdown of the votes, the weighted voting and profit loss statements, where all the investments currently are, always being continuously updated through CoinGecko APIs.
Yeah, that's great. I really love the idea of creating this union of transparency because, I wait a while before I bring projects out just because of the nature of the culture we're in. And it takes time to be in something and to learn from it and study what the team is doing before I bring it forward. And I think with everything going on with these projects, if we want that transparency, we have to create it ourselves because we have a culture where literally anybody can just create a project and have a treasury and pump the coin at 5,000% and then rug it. I mean, it's just where we are. So I like the idea that you guys are taking it by the wheel and you're going to create the culture you want. Because I think one of the great things about cryptocurrency is that the power is really up to the people to create the kind of culture that they want to have. And I really like that you guys are kind of really taking the bull by the horns and doing that.
Well, I mean, that's the entire philosophy behind the union of transparency that we're building out with, multiple protocols. I'm personally an investor. I've been an investor since 2016. I've just recently gotten involved with these projects. I have been rugged before. I understand the culture that's behind it. I think it's almost, we're at a sad point right now where investors are half expecting to be rugged every time they ape into a project. So really what we're looking to do is we're looking to create a union of protocols that can essentially control the space and offer investors a safe investment no matter what chain they prefer to invest in, whether that's Thor for Avalanche, Power for Phantom, or this new unnamed project that I hinted at on BSC.
Okay, I'll let someone else ask questions. I don't want to dominate it, but thanks for your time. Appreciate it, guys.
Always Showtime, man.
Thank you, Showtime. My friend Mo Gates is in the house. Mo, what do you have for the team?
How you doing, guys? Firstly, before I ask my question, I'd like to say that obviously Power is a very good investment, and I feel like it's creeping ahead of its competitors. And I remember Sensei promoting it very hard before, well, at the beginning, like it's best investment I've made since I've joined the Cryptoneers. You mentioned the NFTs earlier on. I was just wondering, would you ever consider making the NFTs a generator? So just
so that is some big brain, big picture stuff right there. That is something that personally I absolutely love. And that's something that we're looking intently at doing in the long term. Unfortunately, it's something that isn't possible in the short term simply for the way that our contracts are made. It's something that would require an entire migration. And if we were to do that, we don't want to repeat some of the mistakes that we've seen other projects make. So when we would do that, it would be a longer process. We'd want to make sure it's done absolutely perfectly and correctly before anything like that was made public. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That is the long-term goal. Being able to have your generators not just tied to your wallet, but as individual assets, plays back into the secondary marketplace that we were also talking about for the NFTs. We have some very big pictures, very big picture ideas on what to do with the generators long-term to, not just allow people to, own a generator and own a position, but potentially trade their positions and sell their positions in the long term.
I mean, I heard you say earlier on that you've got plans until June, which obviously is music to my ears. I mean, it just makes me want to buy more nodes, more generators.
Facts, Mo, facts.
Yeah, like I can't get enough of it. I think it's amazing. In terms of rewards for future reference, would you consider giving the community different things as opposed to just
Are you talking like are you talking about rewards generated based off treasury ownings?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I look, I love that idea, but unfortunately that kind of breaks the model. Because the revenue that's generated from the treasury goes directly back into buying power tokens off of the free market. That
Yeah.
helps stabilize the price, and also it refills the reward pools. If we were to give away, like let's say for example, for our strong investment, if we were to give away the Ethereum or the strong tokens generated from those nodes, we would see a quick decrease in the rewards pool overall, and we'd also see a higher selling pressure on the power token. So for us, longevity and sustainability is the name of the game. So unfortunately, at least as of now, until we figured out a tokenomics disbursement where that would be feasible, it's not in the books for right now.
That's perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. If I'm honest with you, I was
Oh,
just making sure that there wasn't deviation from power itself. Do you know what I mean? So
no, it's
yeah,
the plans are always to have native token rewards and to have those native tokens propped up and supplied by our treasury investment returns.
yeah. I just don't want you to lose what you lot are doing right now, because it tends to happen. Like, I feel like companies end up doing other things, or should I say, I want you to be original, like you are now. Like Sensei
I'm
said from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like you lot were
I
different from
totally do.
other generations.
I totally do, and like obviously, while I can't go into a huge amount of detail, I can assure you that we have the big picture really figured out on this. We know exactly where the protocol is going to go, and we know exactly what we want to do with it. There's no wishy-washy changing of things as time goes on. Obviously, if there's a significant community outcry, that's something that we may potentially put to a vote later on down the line. But at the end of the day, we have a very firm idea on how to build out this protocol long-term sustainably.
For answering my questions, and all the best, man.
Thank you very much, Mo. Great questions, man.
Thanks,
Thank
Mo.
you.
Always a pleasure to have you up here, man. Also, guys, I thought of something while you guys were chatting here. You change the name from nodes to generators, and then when you bring the NFTs, you call those power plants. Right?
That's a
All
very
right.
great idea.
All
Hey,
right,
you know
guys.
what? Put that in our ideas channel there, Sensei, please.
Put me on staff, man. I got this. All right, now I'm very
Thank you.
excited because my sugar is up here and he always has something spicy. So
I
lay it
know
on us,
my
my
sugar.
sugar.
I'm sorry, I just need to interject real quick. The generators and the nodes and all that was my idea. Thank you very much. I have screenshots to prove it.
Well, I mean, then you know what? We should.
I will
definitely
take
give
free
you some
nodes,
credit.
free coins, whatever. Just let me know where to send the wallet address.
Hey,
Thank
brother.
you very much.
There you go.
Oh man.
Have you guys ever thought about doing like the smaller level? I don't even know if you can do that. Smaller level like NFTs that only go for a time that can boost your rewards for like 48 hours. Call them juicers.
Yeah. That's another fantastic idea. Now, we're letting our tokenomics expert really take the helm on the decisions and exactly how the NFTs are going to break down. We are looking at a potential tiered system. That's something that's very interesting to us, as well as potential NFTs that would expire over a specific amount of time or a certain amount of rewards generated. Obviously, we don't have those firmed out completely yet. This is, something that we're looking to add to our protocol in a longer term fashion. So once we have that firmed out, we will obviously be communicating that exactly the tokenomic breakdown on how that would affect the protocol to our community. So, it's for us, it's not only just transparency, it's communication with our community. The community is updated on exactly what's happening in the protocol at all times.
Definitely. How long does the Power Dev team? How long are they invested in this project?
Well, I mean, look, we can ask Kut himself here, but I've had long, in-depth talk with the entire dev team, and I can assure you, and I'll put my reputation on it, they are in for the long term. They're very much like the Thor team. They have the big picture figured out. And that's the reason I was so happy to add them into the union of transparency here. They are the right next project to add to this union and to really build out this change in DeFi that we're trying to make.
Yeah, I asked this in another AMA. If an invested project goes south or enough of the community ask for it, are there functions in place for divesting from project, and how long would that turnaround be if
So-
that were to happen.
I mean, like, that's kind of the beautiful thing about a DeFi as a service model is retail investors are limited to the amount of protocols that they can enter and leave. With us having a larger treasury, it allows us to really diversify and hedge our bets against, underperforming assets. What we are looking to do, though, is we're following both the expert of our TA and technical analysis experts on the team, as well as community votes and community decisions. We aren't necessarily looking to create a system where, the community votes on the entrance of a protocol and we decide on the exit. We're looking to do that in a much more symbiotic relationship with the community. So it'd be something where, for example, it would be, hey, Strong's, Strong's a bad example because we own the nodes, right? But let's say we invested in Time, for example, the Time DAO. And it's like we're looking at a gradual downswing of the price and the price action's not necessarily working in our favor. We would go, to the community and we would say, our experts have told us that this is the time to divest. Is this something that the community approves on? Because once again, we're looking to have community approval for all actions of the treasury. So that's both entering and exiting potential protocols.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Awesome. Let's see. So you were talking about a little bit earlier that the rewards, depending on how output goes from different investments, will affect how rewards are down the line.
Mhm.
Do you guys know how long does the team see the current payout of rewards staying?
Well, I did specify this a little earlier, but I'll just repeat it in case people didn't hear. Obviously, reward weights will change depending on the performance of the protocol's investments. Having said that, we understand that it's impossible for us in 1 day or 2 days to invest the entire protocol's treasury in accordance to what the community's vision is. So we have intentionally made our reward weights consistent to giving us more than enough runway to invest the entire treasury and then gauge reward weights after that. We're looking at minimum a few weeks to a month of current reward rate sustaining.
Okay, awesome. And then I believe, like 2 more questions.
Go for it.
Does the Power team and the Power token, are there going to be plans for use cases of it besides just the infrastructure they're building right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're very interested in giving out more reasons for our investors to hold our tokens. We don't necessarily want to create a system where people are immediately taking their rewards and selling on the market, causing, a constant downward pressure on the price action. So, things like NFTs relieve a little bit of that and offers a little bit more utility to the token. We're also looking at staking and bonding mechanisms in place, to act as a dual front, to give our investors an easy way to pool the rewards to save up for future nodes, but also a way to allow people to enter our protocol who may not have the budget to buy a full node outright. They could save and earn to that over time.
Awesome. And then is this union of transparency, is this building infrastructure for a larger use case project down the line?
Absolutely. Look, the Union for Transparency has our initial goal, and our original goal is to create a culture and an ecosystem that makes it safe for investors to invest in. That like the investors will know anybody who's in the union has been vetted and is known and is doing things correctly. Having said that, there's much more symbiotic relationships that we can have later on down the line, whether that's investing in each other's protocols. There's a few things that are being kicked around the bucket there. Obviously, I don't have anything in specifics to tell you right now, but that's the beautiful thing about having shared and aligned interests. We can work in tandem much more closely than potentially other protocols who are kind of treating their ecosystems like an island. We're trying to create much more of a continental landmass here.
Yeah. Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's my questions for now.
Awesome.
My sugar. Oh, sorry, Nylak.
No, I was just gonna thank him for his questions. He kills it every time I've ever had an AMA with him.
I know. I actually I pay him behind the scenes to come up here and grill you, just so you're aware.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, my sugar. Thank you, man. Always a pleasure. Sign up for the Discord, man.
All right. I'll get
I'm
around
just
to
kidding.
it.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You spend enough time here. You might as well, get the full value out of it. Anyway,
Yeah,
Archie,
definitely.
you've been waiting a long time. You're new here. Please ask a question. How can we help you?
Hey, can you guys all hear me?
I
We
can hear you.
Cool. All right. So the question I had was the number one focus for protocols like Ring and Power seem to be sustainability.
Mhm.
And a lot of them also seem to be going towards the NFT realm, where
Mhm.
NFTs produce, a certain amount of more rewards. But if you think about sustainability, the NFT will bring value to the treasury in the short term, but after maybe 30 days or something, once people get back their initial investment, it's actually another source of rewards being depleted or diluted.
Well, I understand what you're saying, right? Because it essentially increases the net output of a single generator. And I totally understand what you're saying. That's the reason we're not being completely specific on the NFT rollout yet. We're allowing our tokenomics experts to really evaluate the long-term effects that would have. That's also why we're looking at having a decaying NFT and having an NFT that produces less rewards over time, or even an NFT that would have an expiry date. We're looking at methods, to promote long-term sustainability. We're not just saying long-term sustainability; we're putting that into practice with our tokenomics and being able to rely on some really intelligent experts on that.
Okay, cool. All right, now that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of the nodes have a limit of 100 per wallet, and I
Mhm.
believe it's because it acts as a bottleneck and slows down a lot of transactions. Is that correct?
Well, no, it doesn't slow down transactions because transactions happen directly on the contract, and our contract has a availability to scale out to about 1 million nodes without seeing a dramatic decrease in efficiency. The reason that there's a 100 node limit on the wallet more has to do with people's personal computers. We've found that when you start adding more and more nodes, each having independent reward cycles, it slows down a lot of people's computer to the point where it's almost unusable. So that's the reason we have that. And if you're one of those lucky people that already has 100 nodes and you're looking to continuously expand, it's much easier and much better for your computer's health to just have a simple secondary wallet that you can log in and make sure everything stays at a fast speed.
Okay, cool. And just regards to that, assuming that we do go down the NFT route,
Mhm.
and when usually protocols go down the NFT route, there are different tiers of NFTs.
Mhm.
So, for example, oh, sorry, not tiers. I mean tiers of nodes. I'm
Mhm.
talking about for example, Ring has a silver, bronze, and gold node. But
So, just to interrupt you here, what you're talking about are two different things. The NFT model would also have potential tiers, but I think what you're getting at here is a fractionalization model. Am I correct on that?
yeah, sorry, I just misworded it. So I'm
Oh, it's all
talking about the fractionalization section. So let's just say 10 bronze is worth 1 silver,
Mm-hmm.
and 10 silver is worth 1 gold.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody buys 100 bronze, which is only worth 10 silvers,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you guys thinking about putting in like a model where you could actually swap out the golds for 10 silvers because they'll only be 100 per wallet?
Well, we haven't even confirmed that fractionalizational nodes are in the works. That's something that we're allowing the tokenomics experts to really look at intently. We don't necessarily want to introduce a huge, complex model of nodes, confusing investors and potentially throwing a wrench into the tokenomics and token disbursements. We're much more interested in looking at both staking and bonding as mechanisms to allow people to save up for a node, rather than offering a high end node versus a mid range node versus a low end node. Having said that, we defer to the experts on that, and so that's something that's still we're tossing that up, and that's a decision that's going to be made relatively soon.
Right. Okay, now that clarifies a lot of things. Thanks a lot.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you, Archie. Hey guys, I just want to say I do have to jump off, but please continue. This is fantastic information. I wish you guys all the best. I'm looking forward to hitting you up later, Nylock, and grilling you. Definitely get some information from Kut though. He hasn't had a chance to talk, and I'd love to get some information from him. I'll watch this back later, but I'd love to get some what he's thinking and how he sees the project going forward too. I hope you guys can get some information from him as well. So, congratulations on all your success, and we will be here to support you guys all the way through this. Okay.
I so appreciate that, Sensei. And you know what? I would invite someone to come up and ask a real technical development question, something that I may not be in a position to answer, and we can defer over to Kut and be able to hear his voice.
You're just too damn smart, man. That's what it is. All right, Will, you got this, brother. Good luck. All
All
right.
right, Rob. Yep. Take care. All right, Tyler. How are you? We can't hear you.
Are you there, Tyler? I can't hear Tyler at all.
Here's what I'll do. I'll bring up Jive. See if you can sort out your mic, Tyler.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Hey, wonderful project. Thanks for inviting me to ask you a question. My first question is, when will you showcase the team and their capabilities? We would like to understand what this team is capable of, what this team is capable of, and what is their credibility.
Well, that's going to be coming out, I'm a bigger believer that you're going to see the team's capabilities through the actions that the protocol takes. So that's not only just gauged by the treasury performance and the revenue based on that, but that's also the results of the rug.kyc, being able to see what the team's background is, and ensuring that they know what they're talking about. But also another great metric to be able to test that will be the results of the contract audit. Seeing exactly what the problems are in the contract, how easy those solutions are fixing, and how quickly they can implement those solutions. Yeah.
Perfect. And what is the distribution of the tokens in terms of what has been allocated to the team and what is the vesting period?
So we don't have, this was 100% of a fair launch. So there is no team allocation. There is no vesting period. There is no nothing in that regards. The tokenomics is broken down. I've said it before and I'll just say it again. So, when a user buys a generator for 10 power tokens, 7 of those power tokens are sent over to the reward pool. 1 of those tokens, 10%, is added to the liquidity pool as a 50% phantom and a 50% power token disbursement. And then the other 2 tokens are then used for development, paying off the staff, as well as bringing on any additional people to help continuously improve the protocol and the protocol's efficiency.
Sounds great. My last question to you is, see, you guys have a finite number of supply, wherein the kind of you have not given any finite number of nodes that can be created. That's point number 1. And point number 2, at one point in time, your nodes will exceed the number of tokens that it could distribute. How are you planning to manage that?
Well, we have a few different options. I mean, at that point, we'd be looking at a migration of the contract and a potential, V2 token that would, allow a circulating supply to sustain the current level of nodes. That's something that would be happening in the future. But as of now, we're ready to scale out to about 1 million nodes. So, to give you an idea, we have, a significant amount of runway before we'd be hitting any number close to that. So that's a concern that would be far, far in the distance.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I think you guys answered my questions.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Drive. Tyler, did you happen to figure out your microphone?
Yeah, we still can't hear you, Tyler. Unfortunately, brother. Sorry.
Hey,
Travis.
Tyler. Hey, Tyler. Sorry, if you don't mind me to say it's one thing here. Hey, Tyler, send me a DM after this. I'll get your question answered. All right.
I guess we're having microphone issues right now. Yeah, we can't hear you either, Travis.
Hello?
Oh.
Hey,
yeah, there you go.
Hey, what up?
There we go.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I wasn't speaking. Sorry. My bad. I was curious. So, I don't know. You guys all sound super young, and, you guys got in. I feel like most of this channel has got in pretty recently. and you said you got in 2016. So I'm curious, like more of the economics, which that previous question also addressed. But if I had like $1 million, why would I want to put it into a treasury of people, either yourself or people just getting into the space, voting on where that money should be, opposed to me putting it in my own choices?
Well, I mean, our model isn't necessarily geared towards the super high-end investor. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to offer a retail investor an opportunity to lean on both the expertise of an expert team, but also be able to hedge their bets against underperforming assets and potential rug pulls. The union of transparency is there to promote a safe environment for investors to invest in, but that doesn't mean that the union of transparency owns the entire DeFi space. We aren't DAOs, we aren't other, yield farms or anything like that also have the potential of, doing bad actions and hurting investor trust. So this is much more of an appeal to the retail investor side of things rather than, a hedge fund manager or someone with a significant amount of experience in crypto. Having said that, it still makes sense for somebody with a lot of experience in crypto who may not have this $1 million that you're talking about because they simply would not have the funds to allocate to 30 different protocols, like investing in a pool that like what Powered offers. They wouldn't have the same ability. I am young. I am 26 myself. I've been in crypto for a very long time. That doesn't mean that the entire team is young. We do have absolute experts on the team. And you know what? This, as Sensei requested, this might be a perfect opportunity for Cut to come chime in here about the remaining of the team and, perhaps some of their background and their age groups. So I'm going to go on mute here, Cut, and I'm going to let you answer that.
Yeah, we would love that.
Hello, Sensei. Thank you for having me here today. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. A little about me. I'm a blockchain security engineer and a software developer by profession. I've been with Power Team from the beginning, building this amazing protocol that works for all. I've been in the crypto space for over 5 years, and I'm comfortable working with any contract on the Ethereum virtual machine. And the team is made up of experts that I have seen in the crypto space. And we initially started as a team of 5. And before launch, we realized this is about managing investment of different people. And we feel there is a need for us to bring in a lot of people that have experience about financials. So that is why we take recommendations. I believe this team, we are capable of building something very great, and we realize what Tor is doing on the Avax chain, and we feel like, man, we are not going to create a competition, and we rather be in union with this kind of intelligent team because we believe what we are capable of doing together. If we eventually have a partnership in the future, we know what we are capable of doing and what they are capable of doing, and we just want to bring a change to the crypto space, the DeFi world.
Thank you for that.
That's a beautiful answer, I guess. But my question is, because I've been in the space for a while as well, and this is a tough question for you guys. And first off, I appreciate you all being here and being transparent and saying you'll dox yourself. I'm also a coder. I could create some DAO, or I could create some clone of any of these projects, and I still haven't understood the full economics. And I could ask any of these projects that have done this AMA this very tough question. And so I apologize first off for asking you this. But if I'm investing 10 of something and 2 of it goes to your expertise, what are those? Because you just said you've been in the space for 5 years. What makes you an expert? Why am I paying 2 out of every 10 tokens to have an expert kind of analyze, where my money's going?
Well,
okay.
Oh, sorry, Cut, if you want to take that, absolutely.
No, you can take it.
Okay, well, very simply put, you're not necessarily the target demographic. You're not the target base. Somebody with an immense amount of knowledge in crypto and a huge, detailed history of their own, you can basically take care of yourself. What we're trying to do is we're trying to offer retail investors that may be new to crypto, maybe do not have the same level of expertise that you personally have, a much safer way of investing into DeFi protocols without having the same risks that all of us here on this call are familiar with. So it goes once again back to the person who asked the question about the guy with $1 million. These aren't necessarily the demographics that Power's protocol fits perfectly for. It's really meant for people who are relatively unexperienced or have a decent amount of experience under their belt to really understand that the money that the 2 tokens that goes to doesn't just compensate the team. It allows the protocol to continuously grow and to have development continuously happen on the protocol, to have the protocol become more and more efficient, and to add on new team members as needed. It's the same thing that you as an investor, imagine like an investment fund. You as an investor don't need an investment fund to invest in the stock market yourself. However, many people choose to do that due to the expertise, and they'll pay the additional extra for that. The difference between us and the other DeFi as a service protocols is we're extremely open and transparent about it.
No, I love that, and sorry if I'm too abrasive. Like I could have.
You're not,
brother.
This is not fun. That's a good question. Hard questions are very important to ask, and criticism is absolutely welcome. I just wanted to be abundantly clear that I totally understand what you're saying. It's just perhaps you're not the necessary target audience for it.
Do you guys plan? Do you plan on? Sorry, this is my last thing. I kind of popped on this AMA a little bit late. The one thing I love about Thor is that I think they just got 200,000 and they're going to the Anchor protocol. Are you guys planning for that as well? Or are you kind of going into stables that are getting 20% or whatever as kind of what is your vision? Because it sounds like it's not a full voting system where the community is going to vote on everything. You guys kind of have a overarching plan, and I was curious what that is.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about our expertise is what we do is we filter out the different protocols, and our number one priority, especially at the beginning of our treasury, is to have a large amount of diversification and hedges against downturn in market conditions. So what the entire model and the whole point is that it's not it's not the mom and pop retail investor who may not understand the industry choosing exactly what the protocol invests into. The experts can choose an options list of 4 different options or 5 different options and allow the community to dictate out of that pre-assembled list of what the protocol whatever protocols the treasury would enter. So it's a combination of complete and utter community control under a predetermined set option list.
Gotcha. All right, that was it. Sorry for if that was too tough.
But no, you're good.
I appreciate it. Thanks,
Never
guys.
be sorry. Always ask the difficult questions, brother. Never be sorry.
Solid question, Travis.
Thanks,
hey,
guys.
Nylock. Appreciate all the info you guys are sharing. The project sounds great. I can tell you've done a ton of work. I just had something really simple, and apologies if I missed this earlier, but who's going to be on your multi-sig?
Well, we haven't fully decided exactly who's going to be on the multi-sig. Obviously, we want to have community involvement on the market multi-sig, as well as well-known people within the Phantom space. So we're reaching out to we're reaching out to some of the more well-known and trusted established protocols on Phantom to include them on the multi-sig, as well as well-known people within the community. I don't want to necessarily say myself, but someone who is also has quite a good reputation in the community and is known for doing things right.
Sounds good. Keep us posted. That's all I got. I appreciate it.
You got it, Ghost Rider.
Thanks.
All right.
Before you ask your question, my sugar, if you guys have a question, go ahead and just raise your hands. I'll bring you up here. Sorry, my sugar, go ahead.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah. So Thor has been doing their Thor's Day AMAs. Is Power going to be doing something similar?
Yes. You see, the beautiful thing about having a jumping off point like Thor is it gives Power a real clear direction on how to run their community and how to maintain that consistent level of communication. So personally, I'm leaving it up to the project manager to determine the exact amount of frequency of the AMAs. But we are planning on having frequent AMAs with our community to be able to address any issues. Obviously, for Thor's project, we're doing them on Thursdays. We call them Thor's Days, and that was a nice announcement that we made there. Certainly, be expecting an announcement very soon on the power side as well.
So, and then another question is down the line, like let's say past the 6 month period, let's say interest into the project declines and there's not as much activity. How will you guys approach bringing in additional interest?
Well, I mean, you see, the beautiful thing is when you're having a treasury that's producing revenue, you're not as dependent on continuous growth. Having a constant pool of investors coming in that's paying off the old investors is the definition of a Ponzi. And, all of these DeFi as a service protocols are Ponzi's until they start producing revenue for themselves. So that's the reason it's such a priority for us to have, a diversified portfolio that the treasury holds that's producing revenue for our pre-existing holders. Obviously, you can check in our roadmap where where the marketing plans are, because we want to grow this as big as possible. But say worst case scenario, God forbid, in a year we start seeing a slowdown in the amount of new nodes being generated. That doesn't mean that the rewards generated for the pre-existing nodes would ever be suffered, because the generation of those rewards aren't coming from new nodes being manufactured. Or sorry, generators being manufactured. I'm saying nodes again. See, I've got to get off that definition.
It's the buzzword.
Yep. And I've said it so many hundreds of times in my life, it just comes out as second nature now. So I'm trying to break that habit myself.
Yeah. Will the developers be doing any sort of breakdown of their code?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about a audit, is that an audit will break down the code itself in very, very clear, distinct ways. It's also going to spotlight any potential issues in the code, and I'd be lying to say if there wouldn't be any issues. We're not expecting anything major. We're not expecting anything that would be negatively affect the protocol's health in the long term. More than likely, there's just going to be a couple bugs to iron out. But I would stay tuned and wait for the contract audit to come back. And if that's not clear enough for our community, we'll be certainly looking at other ways to clear out our code and make it as publicly accessible and knowledgeable as possible.
All right. Awesome. Thanks. I think that's it for me.
All right, my sugar. Thank you very much.
Can you explain a little bit more about the cross-chain partnership with Thor?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just essentially two protocols that are aligned in values, and those values are transparency and investor respect. We have, we want our individual protocols to both be successful, but we also want to be able to introduce a more overriding effect into the culture of DeFi as a whole. We're all investors. We've all been investors in our life, and we've all seen what unscrupulous projects have done. We're trying to create we're trying to create an ecosystem and community surrounded by trust, to where we have a shared base of investors who know that anyone who's vetted by the Union of Transparency and approved by the Union of Transparency is a safe investment for them to invest in. That's really where the priority of having multiple chains and multiple protocols all working in conjunction. It also allows us to share information with each other. So if there are contract issues that arise, or there's coding issues that arise, it's much better to have more intelligent eyeballs on that issue than less. And so having a strategic partnership in that regard also serves a valuable function to every protocol that's involved in that union.
Okay, so a quick follow-up to that. So does that mean that the developers themselves are able to be pulled from one project to lend their resources to another?
Yes. So as you've already seen with Thor, we've been helping Brig out with their code. We actually have a call with the soldier team on the weekend as well to potentially, help them out as well with some of the issues that they've been facing. That's the great thing about having a union and having protocols that work very closely with each other. Is it doesn't necessarily mean that the developers from one protocol will go over to the other protocol and develop for them, but it does mean that issues that one protocol arises can have an extra pair of expert eyes on these issues to provide support and to provide recommendations for changes.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have any other questions here?
Any other questions from the
I
audience?
see 155 people in the audience. Yeah. I don't see any hands up.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, please feel free. We got Crypto Grasshopper. Go ahead.
Hey, Grasshopper.
You're on mute.
Yeah, you got to come off mute here. Oh, is he server muted again? We had that issue a little earlier.
Okay, guys.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to say something real quick about I love the idea of the union. I'm in a union. I'm a steward on most jobs, and I understand how they work. And compared to the space that's going on, it's a real great idea, and especially the community that's being backed. And then also the morals that this guy's talking about, not Nylock. I mean, the guy don't like bots. He seems like he stands for everything that we want to be a part of, and it's just real important to hear that stuff. I've heard it in quite a few different AMAs now, so I'm happy to be a part of this. This sounds like a really great thing, especially with the union idea. It's fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Look, I've as time has gone on and I've gotten a little bit more and more notoriety in this community, I think my actions have shown for themselves that I've stayed extremely consistent in my belief structure. I am a moral investor, and I only work with projects that share that same sense of morality and ethics. And, that's the reason for me it was so important to build out this union of transparency. We've seen already phenomenal success with other protocols that are interested in joining it. And it really feels like we're on the cusp here of building a real change in the DeFi. And that's what my personal greater goal is.
Yeah, I can tell when someone offered, why don't we use bots? And you gave the answer you did. It's important to be a part of them kind of people.
Yeah,
so
well,
thank you.
Do things right and we all eat. There's enough room for all of us to make it. I'm a big believer in the we're all going to make it. And that's been a saying that's been thrown around our community for forever, right? And it's always kind of been laughed off because, a lot of investors have a zero-sum philosophy. I don't. And I'm building out a network of protocols here that offers investors that security and really does make it so we all make it.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Do you have any other questions? Or
that's good.
Well, I appreciate the kind words there, man.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Crypto.
That's all I got. You bet.
Beckham,
awesome.
Go ahead.
Got to come off mute there, Beckham.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, while I'm not new to crypto, I'm definitely very new on the rug pull area. I've been rugged so many times. Different projects. So,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I even one time gave my password because a so-called support system gave me, the information, etc. Y'all know the deal.
Yep.
My biggest concern always when I see a project now is definitely be more on the careful side to where how can I even expect these returns to remain consistent? And probably most people, when they see a 10% return, for example, the soldier nodes, I just started my first 7 nodes, generators, as we should call them. My always biggest concern, and you guys have probably talked about it, I jumped in late into the voice chat, but my biggest concern was always, how is it even possible, even with all the investments that is done, to remain a consistent 10% return per day? And the reason I say that is all of these projects, for example, like Time and Strong, my personal belief is I don't really understand where those rewards really come from.
Well, you know what? I'm more than happy to talk to you after this AMA about how the DAO system works and how Strong's model works. I'm very familiar with both of those. But when we're talking specifically about our return rate, that's the reason we're being very transparent and open. When we saying that the rewards can decrease, they can change over time with sustainability for the protocol for long term in mind. But as I said at the beginning of this AMA, and if you weren't here, I'm happy to repeat it. We have the runway for us to currently expend our treasury into investments, and then to start to gauge what the accurate returns are going to be. From there, we can really have an accurate gauge of what our runway is, and then obviously make changes as need be. Obviously, any changes to the reward system would be communicated well ahead of time to the entire community. We wouldn't be talking days in advance. We'd be talking potentially weeks in advance. We aren't looking to ever surprise anybody with any changes in our reward policy.
I got you. At the same time, I keep seeing all these great projects now that are stemming off. Thor and then Power, and then Soldier Nodes potentially could be a really good investment. And my mind is always gravitating towards just invest in one. Does it really matter, for example, once the transparency union that you were talking about, once that's kind of established, does it really matter what people invest into or ape into, as we would call it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I over time it'll make more and more of a difference. Because just like how our treasury is prioritizing the diversification of the treasury holdings, each one of the protocols within the union, we don't want to have all those protocols investing in the exact same stuff. So just like how each individual protocol has a diversification policy in the treasury usage, each protocol would act as a diversification for an investor. So it's kind of a dual diversification approach. It would be very smart and very prudent, especially as time goes on, to diversify in multiple protocols within the Union of Transparency.
For sure. And most people are probably like me. They want to get a lot of passive income, sell the native token. I completely understand that, and that's probably what I would do. And this goes back to the original question of sustainability. If everybody just sells the token, I know that the treasury basically balances itself out. Reward system basically balances itself out. But in my case, I'm always thinking about the negative because I've been so burned so many times. And I don't mean that I don't want you to repeat yourself, but is that something that I should keep thinking about, or I have to kind of shift my mentality on that?
It's something that I would recommend shifting your mentality on. But that's easier said than done. I'm a firm believer, and I've said this multiple times now. Talk is cheap, and actions are much more expensive. What I would do is I would gauge and I would adjust your mentality as our actions and as the proof of what we're doing becomes more and more apparent. We're very transparent, and we're being open with exactly what the protocol's goals are, exactly what the model is, and exactly how the revenue is produced. We're also looking at introducing mechanisms in place to promote investors to hold on to their tokens, whether that's done through staking mechanisms, bonding mechanisms, or even potential fractionalization, or introducing NFTs to the system. We have multiple things that we're working on to promote more holding on to the tokens, but also that's the beautiful thing about treasury returns. And when you're investing a few $1 million into the treasury, you're able to buy up a lot of tokens off the market and replenish the reward pool with that. So that provides a lot of upwards pressure to combat that potential downwards pressure. Right now, these protocols and our mission is to find the balance between having that passive income for our investors that you can sell off their tokens and be able to cash that out, as well as the upwards trajectory pressure of the protocol rebuying back tokens and replenishing the pool. So it's about finding that happy medium. Your perspective, totally understandable. I don't blame you at all for having it. Especially with how DeFi is as a culture right now. So that's something that I would just say I recommend over time, and I think it'll just happen naturally. Your perspective is going to change, especially as you continue to participate in the protocols that are, in the Union of Trust.
I got you. And I do have one final question, and this regards more to politics. And the reason I say this is, if anybody doesn't know who Senator Warren was, it sounded to me that she was basically saying that cryptocurrency is evil and that we must put more regulation. Is this something? for real, these politicians think that they know anything. But
Well,
anyway,
I don't want to get particularly political here, obviously.
yeah, I got you.
I find it kind of ironic that the legislators that are dictating the regulations for our industry fundamentally don't understand our industry. It kind of reminds me of what the Facebook hearings that we saw with guys who are asking the CEO of Google about their Apple iPhone. Right? It's showing a lack of understanding of the fundamental structure. We are watching very closely about what potential regulations may be coming down the line, and we're ensuring that we're going to be remaining compliant throughout the entire process. The good thing is also by having a international team is, if the US institutes, some form of regulations, that doesn't necessarily mean that the protocol has to follow those regulations because it would be located outside of the US's jurisdiction. Obviously, there's concerns there, and that's something that we're watching very, very closely. But right now, there's no alarm bells going off.
Yeah. I completely understand that. But every time the politicians start talking about something, it's always a whirlwind, and it kind of pisses me off because they do this all the time.
They do it all the time, and just look at how the markets react to it, right?
Exactly.
It teaches you that a lot of investors are very, very scared a lot of the time, and whenever they see a potential issue, they're going to sell off in paper hands. What we're trying to do is not just be transparent and build this unit. We're trying to educate investors in the long term, be smart about it, and understand what's bluster and what's just a lot of talk that's going on versus actual regulatory actions, and if there are regulatory actions that are happening, how far reaching would they actually be in practice?
Yes. Yeah, that is definitely the biggest concern for DeFi or even crypto in general, because
But I
taxes
mean,
and all.
once again, the SEC can legislate whatever they like in the U.S. But if the protocol is not based in the U.S. and the team is not based in the U.S., it's kind of a mood issue. So that's something to also keep in mind the entire time, right?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for your info. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, brother.
All right, Dunkin' Donuts, go for it. Yeah, we got maybe 2 more people coming up. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Hey, thanks, guys. Hey, first question for you guys. The Union of Transparency. I see another protocol Brig that is currently lacking a developer. I know that Thor is lending some hands there.
We are.
I don't know if Power is or not. And how is that affecting the development cycles of someone like Power right now? That's my first question. Is that taxing the current protocols you guys are involved in?
It's not at all. Because we're not writing the code for Brig. What we are doing is, the beautiful thing about Thor, and the thing that we got really right about Thor, is our developers are very, very smart, and they're our developers on Thor were the first ones to discover the exploit that was in Ring's contracts, and so that's the reason, and that's the reason why we were able to launch without the exploits being present. Our developers are spending, a very small amount of time looking over the potential ideas that the Brig team has, what the changes that they're looking to do, and just helping them evaluate, where the quality of their code is, and what they could change to potentially have more efficiency. That doesn't mean that we're writing the code for them. That doesn't mean that we're doing all the work for them. We're essentially just being that, supervisory position to help them out. I think that really just speaks to exactly what our intentions are in this industry. Brig is a direct competitor of us, and we're still looking to help them out simply for the fact that we've looked at their team and we know that they're also doing things legitimately.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was curious about that, and how that would affect the current protocols you guys are working on. Second question is I also currently work in an international team, all remote. Been doing it since before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys handling that communication, especially across multiple countries, multiple personalities, multiple language barriers?
Well,
I know how it all goes, and it's troublesome.
I certainly understand that as well. That's really where my strong suit falls into all of this. I like to think of myself, and I'm not trying to scrub my own ego. I'm a very good communicator, and I'm a community-based guy. I'm very good at organizing multiple teams and maintaining lines of communication with every member of the team. So, we are organized in our communicational methods. We have group chats, we have group channels, and we have organizational within each of the individual protocols within the union. So we have not faced a significant amount of issues from that. Obviously, knock on wood, we haven't faced those issues yet. If we do start to face those issues, obviously we'll have to be coming up with solutions for that.
Awesome. Hey, one more quick question. This is a simple one. Are you guys doxed to each other?
So we're not fully doxed to each other. Once again, that's something that we're looking to develop down the line. What we are, once we have the union a little bit more official, we will be requesting everybody to be able to dox within one central organization. So that would be, the union of the founding members. Power would be one of them. Thor is another one, where we would maintain the dox records of everybody involved, just to offer the investors some extra clarity.
No hints on that BSC protocol.
I would love to look. What I will tell you to do is keep your eyes out on that space. Keep your eyes out on some stealth launch Twitter accounts that are doing some really, really cool marketing right now. And just keep your eye out and think about the Hive.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
By the way, that was a big hint. So I hope everyone enjoys it.
Solid music.
All right. Yeah, it's all you, man.
Howdy, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sweet. Hey, so similar to Thor, will Power have a discount sale anytime soon?
Man, our investors, everyone loves to know when the next discounts are coming, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Look, the discount side of things is kind of a double-edged sword to the overall health of the protocol. We're not trying to discount out our we're not trying to discount out our generators, because each generator is built into the tokenomics, and the tokenomics need to be able to sustain the long term. So we are looking, at sales down the line. We're looking at more organized and scheduled out sales. I have nothing to tell you though of now. If you're waiting to hold out on a generator for a sale, I would say that's a very foolish decision. I would go buy one now if you're wanting to buy one. But if you're, if you don't have the money, then, obviously wait out for a sale or wait out till the staking or bonding mechanisms are in place.
Okay, I'm very bullish on nodes. I'm also curious if by buying maybe a tiered level NFT, we might get a discount on creating nodes, maybe, or I guess that goes in line with what you were saying.
Oh, it's a fantastic question, and I wish I had the perfect answer for that. We're still really early on in the NFT rollout stage. So, once the tokenomics on that is really figured out and our professionals have been able to do it, and create a system that has, that is long-term viable. Once we have that out, we will be releasing that to the public, and everyone will know exactly what the terms would be. I just can't speak on it as an authority on that until that moment has happened in history.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Alec. All right, guys.
Does that close us out?
That's going to close us out. So thank you, Nylock. Thank you, Cuts. Thank you, Casty. And thank you to the entire audience tonight for being here. Thank you for all the information regarding power. For all of those that heard the little breadcrumbs that was provided, take those as hints. Happy holidays. We'll continue doing AMAs. Nylock, Cuts, anything you'd like to say?
Well, I would like to just say thank you very much for having me on for my second AMA of the week. It's been a whirlwind of a time, and look, I plan on keep your eye open on the space here. Keep your eye open for new protocols entering into this union. And you know what, boys, we're all gonna make it.
You heard it here. All right, everyone.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, wherever you might be.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.